So yeah, so excited to have you here, Art. Thank you for coming on, by the way.
Glad to be here, brother.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're gonna get this in before you get your ski trip in. We're actually just talking about Aspen, so it just got me all excited. Cause I want to go with you. Can I come with?
Sure.
Okay. All right, but yeah, no. So tell me, when you got started in the building business. How old were you, and give me a little story of that.
Started out at 22 years old,
Okay.
and that was in 2002,
Okay.
which dates me a little bit, but
Nah.
that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And do you remember what it was that got you interested in building?
At that time in Bismarck and in the region, really, there wasn't really any jobs. So
Okay.
I was in my 5th year of college at UMary, and just the options were with a business degree to go to Minneapolis, Denver, and get a insurance job or some type of high-rise data entry position. Nothing locally really with much opportunity. And I'd done construction in the summers throughout college and high school, and just thought I would give that a shot. So started a home improvement company, doing kitchen remodels, exterior, windows, doors, siding, roofing. And that led into custom home building, which led into production home building, which led into land development to supply the home building companies. And
Wow.
here we are today.
So then when you started the home improvement business, when did Red Door Homes get created?
That was in, I want to say about 2008 or 9, we bought that license agreement.
Okay.
So by that time we had kind of branched out, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We'd wound up with a lot of in-house labor, just guys to perform the work through the remodeling, but it started becoming a little bit inconsistent as far as, being able to sell the work. Was there a hailstorm that came through? Some guys wouldn't want to travel to go find the work. So we started looking at new construction to just, for a place to put, the guys doing the labor in, framers, roofers, siding guys.
Okay.
So once we started getting into that space, it became pretty clear that, there was a good balance and that there was more there. So we jumped into, at that time in 2006, we split into 3 companies. We kept Goldammer Contracting, started Goldammer Homes, which just did customs, and then we started Verity Homes, which did the production building. And, I'd thrown myself into research and learning. I realized, by then, it was 4 years into it, I realized I didn't know anything at all. And, really needed to if I was going to compete in business. So, every seminar I could go to, every book I could read, I just immersed myself in it. And through that, ran into the Red Door concept, which was, at the time, would fill a lot of gaps on the back end, accounting, purchasing, estimating, drafting, that was hard to find resources locally for. And, it looked like a good fit to, kind of push the easy button, if you will. But, as we all know, there's no such thing as an easy button.
No. And when you started that with Red Door, how many employees did you guys have right away?
I want to say we had about, as far as management staff, we had about 16 at that time.
Okay.
And then we probably had another 40 field labor guys.
Oh, wow. Okay. And did they all came from the previous
Yeah.
start? Okay. They did.
And then we did wind up selling, we kind of broke out some of the sub companies to some of the foremen, and they bought out, all the framing equipment, and then we've fed them the work. So we were able to transition them into that space just to really focus on, managing the home building business.
Yeah. And when you opened up Red Door in town here in Bismarck, what do you feel like that first year was like your biggest challenge that you hit?
I'd say adjusting our level of fit and finish, what was included in a base price, to that style of home building, where the philosophy was price is the ultimate amenity, live where you want. It was more scattered site, geared, let the customer choose what they want to put into their home and spend their money on what they want. Where I learned that there's a lot of things I feel should be in a house that just should be in a house, regardless of price point. And, it wasn't the same philosophy. So that was probably the biggest challenge, was to overcome that and to instill that belief in my sales team so my sales team could sell it confidently.
Okay. And how was, kind of keeping the team growing? Because your first year, do you know how many homes you guys did that first year versus the second and third year? What was your guys' growth?
The first year of the Red Door license, we were already doing, custom and production home building. So
Okay.
I think we were at about 40.
40 homes a year?
That first year.
Okay. And then do you remember what the next couple years kind of looked like that you guys started doing?
By 2014, we were up in the 150s.
Oh, wow.
So, over about a 5-year period, we were able to grow quite a bit.
You almost tripled. Well, you did. You tripled pretty much. Okay. And when that started to happen, do you feel like, where was the vision of what you saw in Bismarck with kind of a lack of homes versus what was your goal with growing to that many homes per year? Did you have a certain type of niche that you wanted to serve in Bismarck?
No, at that time, we just really wanted to, fit that first time buyer, first time move up, and empty nester, which we still serve. Those are still our primary 3 demographics.
Okay.
Then it became a matter of, if we want to keep growing, what other markets do we need to be in?
Do you feel like you kind of wanted to help a certain type of, price point that was lacking in our city? Because, there's so many builders out here in Bismarck, Mandan, and there's a lot of custom, but there wasn't a lot of what I feel like you guys provide. And do you feel like there was a lot of plan there to fit that need that Bismarck was kind of lacking?
In theory, yes.
Okay.
The target was to systemize and standardize the whole entire process, from the sales side to how we buy materials to our plant offerings, how we run our scheduling, how we hire trades in the spring, how we pay cycles. And we thought through all that, there'd be those efficiencies gained where we would be able to offer, a similar square footage bed bath as, the guy doing 5 houses a year, but do it better, faster, and for less money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you, I guess the best way I want to word this is, I know growing up here, and I know as soon as I got into the mortgage industry in 2010 and I came to Bismarck, I saw that there was no other home builder in Bismarck that was able to build something with the square footage and all the bells and whistles. But a brand new house, you guys were always priced like way cheaper than a lot of other builders. How are you guys able to accomplish that for all those years?
The biggest factor to that is just standardizing your options that you offer and standardizing your fit and finishes, and then committing to suppliers, manufacturers, trade partners for volume per year. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we would maybe offer 3 different levels of, hardwood floor. Level 1, 2, and 3, and we would commit to the flooring manufacturer that we're going to put down, 100 homes of this product, and we're going to stick to these 3 particular product lines within their offering, and really take advantage of that economies of scale.
Okay. Do you think a lot of people out there, when they're looking at building or they're looking at like where to get a lot, what do you think a lot of people out there have no idea when it comes to the development side? Because you're a part of a lot of developing. I know you are.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when you even say the word developing, they're like, what's that mean, right? So when it comes to developing out here, where do you think a lot of people, things they should know, and where like these lot prices come from?
Things people should know about land developing is, really outside of location and price, there's things behind the scenes like special assessments that a first-time buyer may not be that informed of. Some areas have higher special assessment districts, some have lower, which can really affect your mortgage payment. As you know, I'm sure you see that all the time with, with your customers with guaranteed rate, that, that special assessment tax lever can really adjust someone's buying power.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the second part of your question?
Yeah, no, you're good. Where does developing affect a lot of where the lot prices come from?
It does. It's just like anything else, right? You've got your raw land acquisition cost.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your trade labor, your mass grading contractors, your heavy pipe contractors, your paving contractors, your landscapers, the sign guys, utility companies.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got people out there putting in products under the ground that you don't see most
Mm-hmm.
of,
Mm-hmm.
but they're there and they take really expensive equipment
Yeah.
and really skilled operators to install those things. You just don't see them. It's kind of one of those things that it's not a problem until it's a problem, or you don't even think about it. When you flush the toilet, you want to make sure it goes down and goes away.
Right.
Really, all that horizontal infrastructure is what it's called. Does that. It brings power and water and telecommunications to your home, and it takes the sewage away from your home. Just like roads take take you to your home and
Yeah.
away from your home.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the costs of those things, adjust with the market like anything else. So, as wages go up, all the different operators' wages go up.
Mm-hmm.
Equipment costs change every year.
Yeah.
Fuel, we're in a price right now. Our gas was, I think I saw $4.59 today.
Yeah.
Those things suck a lot of fuel. And,
Mm-hmm.
you've got these big dozers and scrapers and excavators, graders out there working, 12 hours a day all summer long.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's that consumption, there's the maintenance, as well as a small profit, hopefully, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So Verity has consistently been, you guys have been the top like homes per year built out of any builder in Bismarck, Mandan, correct? Lately?
Yeah.
Do you know how many years total where you guys have kind of built the most units wise?
It's been about, I want to say it's been about 11 years, 12 years.
I was going to say 10 from the stuff I pulled up. So, I mean, hearing that from a mortgage guy's perspective of being top on that too, what do you think is the separating deciding factor for you that lets you guys be able to build so many more by far than any other builder in Bismarck?
It's largely just systems, processes that help our people, which is the ultimate reason for our success is our team.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the tools that they use every day that helps them do their job efficiently, streamlined. Where, to the best of my knowledge, some builders in town are starting to use construction management software just to manage schedules. We've been playing with the full software suite from purchasing to standardizing drafting to construction scheduling, accounting, finance, all that integration, for 15 years. And really we're modeling what we do after a lot of the bigger builders around the country that have done it successfully for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing we're doing really is proprietary or unique to just us, except for our team. Again, and a team with the right tools is the secret.
Gotcha. What do you think has been over the last 10 years the hardest customer service thing that you guys have had to deal with? If I could give you a couple, what do you think you'd pick? That's been some of the hardest things to continually building that many homes each year and to be able to serve your guys as client. What do you think's been some of the bigger pain points?
We had a massive window issue in, I think it was 2013 or 12, where we had, it didn't show up until, winter came. And we had all of a sudden that first cold weather snap and snowstorm, we had our customer service team got just crushed with window leak calls. And we started looking at these things and, couldn't really identify what was going on. It took us about a month to finally figure out that the window manufacturer had gone to a second night shift at the factory, and there was one spot in the assembly line that inserted a small spacer in the window glazing that wasn't getting inserted, and it caused all these windows to fail. The manufacturer didn't want to participate in making it right. They offered to just send out a replacement window only and let the homeowner deal with it. And there's federal laws, right, that govern, what extent our builder warranty can go and what has to be a manufacturer's warranty. For example, if your fridge goes out, we can't repair that. That's got to go through the manufacturer. We could facilitate it and help along, but we can't do that. It's just federal law. So that was a challenge. Meanwhile, it took, a month and a half to figure out what the problem was. And then, now we found out what the problem was, and it encompassed over 80 homes.
It was 80 homes?
Yeah. There was some people that hadn't called in with any complaints, but, we knew what homes that they were from when they started that manufacturing shift until they corrected the problem.
Okay.
So we had an idea of, exactly how many homes were out there that needed new windows in it. And then to get the manufacturer to cooperate, we wanted to take care of our customers. We couldn't just go out and start tearing out windows. We just aren't funded in a way that, would allow us to do that. That would have probably shut us down. So we had to push back on the manufacturer and the supplier, who eventually did cooperate with us. And, it turned out we replaced all the windows that needed to be replaced. And, eventually people were happy. But there was, that interim in there where, social media, everybody has a voice and used it in a negative way without really understanding or, noting that, hey, we're working on it, but, our hands were tied, but we wouldn't stop until we had a resolution.
Right.
And,
wow.
I'm sure you've experienced a lot of that in your career, that you grow and you go through those growing pains. Things happen out there, and to any business, I don't care if you own a hair salon or if you are in the mortgage industry or the home building space, or any business, you're going to run into those, growth pains and challenges as, things evolve, change, your business grows. And there was, we could probably sit here and talk all day about, challenges that have popped up over the years. And that's the biggest one, though, that stands out in my mind.
It was the Windows one. Wow. And do you have something in place now to kind of prepare or prevent something like that? Because with manufacturers, I think a lot of people don't know, with builders, right? Every builder in town almost uses third-party manufacturers for all their products, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think every builder does?
Yeah.
Would you say?
In fact, this window brand is, in $2-3 million houses in town.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Still to this day?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And is that same manufacturer still in business?
They changed their name after that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. What's their name now?
Their name is Vector.
It is Vector. Okay.
That's an example of a business that has grown and scaled because of business systems in place, and they've been able to hire people that can follow instructions and grow the business. But they don't have that. I guarantee they don't have the culture behind them. They don't have the teamwork. They don't have the feeling a customer is going to get, or a client, customer, call it what you will, walking out of that experience. Everything else could be the same. They won't have that. They won't be able to have that. Because, again, there's not that flexibility baked into their process from making sure that customer is walking out smiling and says, that was awesome. Like, our goal, and I know you feel the same way, is you don't want people just to be happy and not complain. You want people to be so excited and ecstatic about the process that even when stuff comes up, that they're out with their friends for coffee or after church. Like, we just closed on our house. We had a delay because of an appraisal. But God, Travis was great. His team was calling me. They kept me apprised. We knew what to expect. There was that connection the whole time. And when we got to closing, they, helped us out with a mover, and they helped arrange, a lot of the things that we needed help that we didn't know was going to come up. Yeah. And, we bought a house in Jamestown before, 10 years ago. And, that was, once the realtor signed the papers, we didn't see him again. Once we got our pre-approval, we didn't hear from the mortgage company. And we just had a closer at a title company and kind of moved us around. And, it was okay. We got it done. But now that we had this other experience, now we have something to compare it to. And wow, was that amazing. That's what I think the ultimate goal is for a customer-centric business or team.
100%. I still feel like it's crazy to me, and I know you guys get this, but it's like there's still so many people that I talk to that I can just tell after talking to them, they almost have this this whole story in their head from, maybe growing up or from their parents or from friends or whatever, but they think that whatever lender they pick, whatever builder they pick, the process and the service is all going to about be the same, right? They're thinking, they're going to shop for price maybe, or they're going to shop for style of homes, but then there's not a lot of shopping or talking about how is my experience going to be with you? How's my communication going to be with you? How is my responses going to be with you? And then if something were to go wrong, because life's not perfect, right? Like even like airlines, right? Flights get canceled, flights get delayed. The key is then how is that person going to step up to the plate to help make it right and communicate if there is a struggle? Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's still a big kind of vibe around the real estate mortgage world that people are out kind of searching, but they're looking for price and they're looking for style of home and neighborhood, but they're never looking at who they're picking typically based on those things? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's largely just our psychology as Americans. We're pre-programmed to think through whether it's family conditioning, how you grew up, whether it's, socially, what people talk about. It's, hey, I just got this buy one, get one sale, or, there's this deal over here, and people like to feel good about what they're investing their money in to justify spending it. Mm-hmm. And initially, I think most people want to get as much as they can for as little as possible. We all do, right?
Yeah.
And it's finding that balance between that and then pausing for a minute to think, okay, there's going to be a whole process here that there's a lot of involvement from other people. People just don't really stop and think about that until, for example, we notice a lot different mentality from our first-time buyers to our first-time move-up buyers. Mm. The first-time move-up buyers almost always recognize the little things that we do that stand out, where the first-time buyer could try to set the expectations, but they haven't had a bad experience to compare it to. And when we're the only experience, sometimes there might be a different expectation. Yeah. Sometimes they maybe just bought a house, walked through it with the realtor, mm-hmm. didn't want to take the time to sit down with one of our sales team. And I mean, they're there for a reason. They're there for the customer, we don't need them to do that. I don't need to pay a salesperson on top of a realtor. The realtor's out there showing the homes, getting the deal done. I mean, we could have a transaction coordinator really to handle that, but we want to provide that service and to make sure that there's an understanding of expectations and education on the home in general. And when people don't take advantage of that, it's a bummer to me because, we do have those things in place. And I know you do the same where mm-hmm. if people are just out rate shopping specifically and they're worried about that eighth of a point, have they thought about all the other things that could happen that they would be unhappy about? Yeah. And it's hard to say unless you get them in front of you and can ask those questions of what's important to them. You might have a buyer or a couple that is just, hey, I want the best price. There's going to be collateral damage. I'm okay with that. Let's go. Okay, fine. Great. But most people at the end of the day, I think, want to feel important, want to feel like the business that they're involved with or getting a mortgage done or buying a home from cares about them as a person and cares about their experience. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, because we're all emotional beings at the core, right?
Right.
We're human. We strive for those connections. Yeah. But I think we're pre-programmed psychologically to focus more on price or, what you get for the dollar mm-hmm. first. And sometimes, the rest becomes an afterthought until it's an issue.
Yeah. And I know that, there's so much, business out there to go around, but it's like, I know that every single person out there isn't for everybody, but I also know that, like, I think there's like somewhere like right in the middle of price, right? But then somewhere in the middle of service, and then somewhere in the middle of like education and style, mm-hmm. right? Because it's like, not every client's probably a great fit for me, and not every client's a great fit for Verity, right? Mm-hmm. But, finding and going out, like now I feel like I've kind of morphed into this thing where more than anything, if I can get out every single day information that'll help somebody that will change their life, because it wasn't that I got into mortgage being like, oh, I can't wait to change people's lives, right? Like, I literally tried it being like, what am I going to do? Like, I sucked at math, you know? I literally got tutored in college, tutored to pass my ACT. And if somebody said, what was your favorite subject or what interests you? Math was always at my least of the list.
Yeah.
Like, I literally probably passed every math class with a C minus, I swear. You know, but like now it's like, when I can change somebody's life, because when I got into my first home, which is essentially like I was renting it for a while, but once I like felt this feeling, I was already in the industry for like 3 years. But once I remember when I got home and I went through the garage and I went right into the kitchen, right where the door opened into the house. And I was like, I own this now. There's just something special there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and now I'm doing this for people? I'm a part of it. I'm not like the only reason how they did it, but like I'm part of that. And it just got a little bit extra sacred, a little bit extra special. And then every single year, I tell my team this. I pull stuff where it just amps me up even more. And now I'm even more dialed in 12 years later than I ever have been. Because now that I'm more nationwide, whereas I used to be so heavily in Bismarck, Mandan, and around the surrounding cities. But now that I'm everywhere, the amount of people I get where they're like, no, what's my credit score? Or, I didn't know you could buy a house for less than 20% down. Or, I was told no 4 times. How are you telling me yes? And the people that really pull in my passion are people that are not getting, educated, not getting advised. And these are people that literally are in probably tough spots, and we're able to go, you need a home, and then we can help deliver that and educate them and give them an experience. Like, I don't know, it might be kind of nerdy, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
You're a little nerdy, but it's definitely cool.
It's so special, man. It's like, and that's why any chance I get when people are like, oh, cool, I just need a loan, and I can just kind of tell that and it's not their fault. They just don't know that, okay, if you called 5 lenders, you called 5 builders today and said, this is your price or this is that, and they'll just pick it. I want to throw in there and be like, hey, before we get off the phone, do you know what earnest money is? Do you have any idea the average home closing time frame? And I want to throw in their stuff. And as soon as I start getting answers back and they're just super like shocked and I didn't know that. And I was like, well, yeah, I want to educate you. And then decide who you want to go with, right? I might not be the cheapest. Never prided myself at being the cheapest. But I will pride myself on, which I love that you said that I will call you back. I will be available. And if there is something wrong, I'll step to the plate like a man.
Yeah.
And that's how I hold my business. And that is key. Because that's never talked about in our world. It just never is.
It's not.
It's the house, the rate, the fee, give me the house, buy. Yeah. And it's like, that's not how business is done.
But then after the closing, everything else becomes or through the process, all those other intangibles that people haven't thought about or explored or thought about reference checking, now they want that. Well, you're already down the road of whatever deal you're in.
Yeah.
There has to be some burden put, I think, back on the consumer, because in the world of now with, why would you drive to Walmart if you could order something from Amazon and it's at your doorstep tomorrow?
Good point.
The box, may show up jacked up, or, why would you, do a lot of the things that consumers do, including myself. I mean, I catch myself in those loops sometimes and try to grab them and use them as a learning experience when I see myself doing something, a behavior that, hey, wait a minute. No, I'm missing something here. I'm focused on this, but I know I'm going to want these other things along with whatever service or product that I'm buying. Yeah. Does it exist with the company or the product that I'm buying or buying from?
Yeah.
I think it's consumers, should and need to take a little bit of that responsibility and accountability for their spending behaviors. And what result is the output of whatever transaction that they commit to.
I agree. So I kind of want to finish with two more questions. So a lot of homeowners want to know, what do you see prices doing this year? And what do you think the average person that's going to be looking at building this year should expect on spending to build an entry-level home in the Bismarck-Mandan area and Fargo?
I would say we're going to have more volatility in the market, lumber, steel, building materials. They're going to be all over the place. Supply chain is still tight. Getting products from point A to point B to get to the distributor, that's going to cause some delays. Again, going to standardized options lists allows builders that have those ability to focus in more and make sure things are available. I think we're going to still see construction times ranging in that 4 to 6, 7 months for our product, depending on what level you're at, where you're at. There's going to be, I'd say we'll see about a 5 to 8% overall valuation increase in homes, both on the resale side and the new construction side. We're in a period of rapid inflation, like everyone knows in the country, and with the demand on the job sector, different industries trying to pull people from different industries just to try to find qualified people, to do the work or to do the job, adds another layer of support to the inflationary metrics that I think we'll see. With that being said, for a first-time detached single-family home, first-time buyer, I think, should expect to spend a minimum of about $350.
Okay.
And for a twin home, probably the lower threes to that $300 to $350 is about the range where they should expect to start from. Unfortunately, if interest rates still remain reasonably low, I think interest rates will come up a little bit incrementally. But I don't think the Fed can take them too high because it could really shut the economy down. With the conflict over in the Ukraine and all that's going on, along with our own internal challenges as a country, along with the world's challenges coming out of COVID. We're in a sensitive time, and I think there's a lot of pressure on the rental sector from all the different rental loans resetting at the higher commercial rates that are also going to drive rents up. So your cost of rent's going to be still probably more through 2022 and maybe into 23 than owning, which I think is still a huge incentive for people that are on the fence. Like, well, hey, rates went up an eighth a point. I'm going to wait for prices to come down. They're not going to come down. Bismarck historically has either been flat or appreciated 2-3% a year or jumped 5 to 10. And there hasn't been that backward slide. We've never had the rapid explosive growth that some markets have, which I like. It's
Yeah, me too.
There's more security with that if you're investing in your own home. And again, while you may not make 10% on your home the first year, you at some point in typically an 8 to 12 year cycle, it's going to jump again. And just really I guess I would encourage people to expect volatility and expect that things aren't going to go the other way, and to take advantage of what they can while they can.
So I was just going to ask you that. I was going to say that.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, it was funny that you said that, because I was going to say, if you were going to say what is the number one thing you'd recommend advice to a homeowner this year to do, what would you say that you'd have them focused on this year if they were looking at building or buying? What would be your biggest tip of advice?
Don't wait.
Because of prices going up more, right?
Right. And that, or just limited supply. You might not be able to get the home that you like. You might not be able to replace it until a time in the future where it is more expensive, or it is in a different school district, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We're, along with the home building side, we do rental property as well. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You want people in your rentals, but, we like to educate our customers on, hey, is it a good time to buy or not? I mean, we'll rent you a house, we'll sell you a house, but right now we're advising people it's a good time to buy.
Yeah. And I agree. It's like rates forever have always gone up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's the waves of it, right? And you buy now because prices are the data's out. Prices are going to go up even more this year because of a lack of inventory. And even though people are scared of what's going on, all around the world, even look at the history of our world. Even 100 years ago, our world has always had issues. We've always went through stuff like wars and issues and financial issues and stuff like that. And we've always moved through it, right? Even like look at 9/11, right? Look at 0809 crash in our country. You look at all these things. We make through it, we go through it, boom. We make through it, go through it, boom, right? The interest rate thing, what's so interesting to me still is now that I've been in it for 12 years is even though you buy at a little higher rate time, you can refinance when rates go back down again.
Right.
And rates have always went up and then down and then up and then down, right? And I always tell people if your payment is comfortable and you feel like your job's secure, and even if you wouldn't maybe stay at that job forever, but you'll still probably make around that, and you don't think you're in a job where it's like, oh, it's only based off of commission, but you always know you'll at least make around this, payment safe, boom, boom, you should buy, because the amount of people that waste money in rent still blows my mind. And I always say rent if you think you're going to move out of that city in a year or two, or if you don't have a full-time job, you might not qualify for a loan if you're not full-time, but if you think that you won't have the means to make a payment in the next year because your job is unsafe, then you should maybe wait and rent. But any other reason, you should be owning and building equity.
How would a 5% reduction in value or cost, what would that look like on a payment that had a 2% higher interest rate? And would it be a good decision to, again, buy now at a higher price with a lower rate, or would it be better to wait for a little bit lower price and a higher rate?
It's definitely better to buy at a higher price with a little bit lower rate, because over time, you're going to pay less interest, right? And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. Well, if they wait for prices to come down, and we know rates are going to keep going up this year, and they wait, they're probably going to shoot themselves in the foot, because right now, let's say rates are somewhere in the 3s, and then they wait till the end of the year and they buy and they're in the 4s, even though if they got a little discount on the price, their rate's higher, now they're going to pay more over the life of that loan. So, like that goes back to the biggest thing is don't worry about little bit of fluctuations in price of the homes. Right now, it is a good time to buy because rates are still low and prices are set to go up. So catch the wave now, and then that still goes in the same thing. If you're comfortable with what you're making and the payment is comfortable, I think more people need to focus on their payment versus their interest rate. Yeah. And I've heard people think, oh gosh, I want to wait and see what these rates do. And it's like, but what are you paying in rent? And then let's calculate that over the next few months, because that money you'll never get back. And I think there's always more to the question, and everybody's in different situations in their life, right? And I guess, if you're living rent free and your job's not secure, I will tell that person wait, because that person shouldn't be suited to buy right now. But if you got a good job, your payments are going to be comfortable, there is no point other than to own your home and start building your equity and getting your appreciation that's going to happen. And then down the road, you'll look back and be like, oh, glad I did it, right? Because I don't know anybody that ever has been like, I bought a home, I paid down my loan, I have equity, the house appreciated. Let me look at sellers now. You think any of them are like, I'm so mad I bought and I'm making so much money on the sale of my house? Nobody is mad they're owning a house. The only times that ever happens would be as if they bought a house that, they ran into something where a bunch of repairs didn't get caught. And that's the power of a home inspection. A good builder, a good realtor, and check the home out first. Make sure you know what you're getting into.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, brother. Any other questions?
I'm good, right? Hey, that was fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
That was dope. That was good.